The International Criminal Court drops charges against Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. U.S.-based musicians join the fight against Ebola. And Pharrell Williams is extra happy today. We'll tell you why. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta is breathing a sigh of relief on Friday after the International Criminal Court dropped charges of crimes against humanity against him. Now, the decision was announced 2 days after the Hague Court gave prosecutors a week to either bolster or drop the charges. President Kenyatta responded swiftly to the decision, saying on Twitter that he feels vindicated. He also said one down, two to go, referring to two other ICC cases against Kenyans that he hopes to have dropped. Now, U.S.-based Human Rights Watch has criticized the decision, saying it sets back efforts to end the country's entrenched culture of impunity. It says the roadblocks in the Kenyatta trial make it all more important now for the ICC to figure out how it can move ahead with high-profile cases against powerful people. Well, now, for more reaction, we go to Nairobi, Kenya, where we're joined via Skype by VOA's Gabe Joslo. Gabe, give us a sense of how Nairobi feels today. What's the reaction in town?
Well, I can't say that people were really surprised that this case was about to fall apart. There had been a lot of indications over the past few months, even the past year, that the prosecution's case was failing. Part of that because witnesses were dropping out, because the prosecutor kept asking for delays to the trial. So it was more a sense that this was kind of an inevitable thing that was going to happen. Of course, as you mentioned, there's been a huge celebration coming from State House at this moment, with President Kenyatta very happy with what happened.
President Kenyatta is very happy, but should people assume that the whole country is celebrating?
No, of course not. I think that this is actually going to be a very traumatic or sad moment for many of the victims of the post-election violence, which was, of course, the center of the case against Mr. Kenyatta and the continuing case against his deputy. You know, I was speaking today to somebody who works with the displaced people, and he says there's still over 40,000 people who are displaced living in camps in Kenya who had lost their homes and their livelihoods during that violence. So for people like that, there's a sense that there was really no justice. They're angry with Kenyan leadership, but also angry at the ICC for feeling...
Mm-hmm. Now, Gabe, we know that this case took a political dimension. What implication is it likely? Okay, we kind of lost Gabe there. Some technical difficulties. Gabe Joslo reporting live via Skype from Nairobi, Kenya. Well, if the ICC's trial against President Kenyatta had proceeded, he would have become the first current head of state to undergo prosecution there. Joining us live via Skype from Amsterdam for more perspective on today's decision is Charles Jallow, an associate professor at Florida International University College of Law. Mr. Jallow has been following this case, and we welcome him to Africa 54. Mr. Jallow, was this a surprise to you?
Well, much as your previous speaker just said, Vincent, this has been one of these inevitable pictures that we've been envisaging for the last little while, partly because of the troubles that the prosecutor has had. So in many ways, it's not a surprise at all.
Now, what does this mean to those who have been hoping that this will be perhaps a demonstration of how justice can be done at the level of the ICC?
Well, there's a complicated picture. Of course, as the previous speaker was just making mention of, State House in Nairobi is going to make a big deal of this, that the case has been dropped, and that's certainly true. But what is also interesting to observe, to add to this, is that the prosecutor, and the chamber made this very clear, always has the option to come back if they have more evidence. So in a way, the case is not really gone away yet. If they find new evidence and they can demonstrate, in their view, beyond a reasonable doubt, she's entitled to come back to the chamber and initiate the case.
Mr. Jallow, as a person who's been following this case and other cases at the ICC, the kind of evidence they were looking for, is this likely to really be availed at any time soon?
Well, the problem is it's unlikely, unfortunately, right? And the responsibility for that has to be put on the doorsteps of the government of Kenya under President Kenyatta. The chamber made very clear that even though the prosecutor should have been better prepared, the reality is that the government of Kenya has made it impossible by failing to fulfill the cooperation request from the prosecutor. So the challenge in many ways is that you have an international criminal justice system that relies on national jurisdictions, in this case Kenya, to do some of the work that the tribunal needs to do in the course of investigations. And some of the evidence, according to the prosecutor, is only available in the hands of the Kenyan government. And obviously the Kenyan government is led by Mr. Kenyatta. So there's an element almost of a conflict of interest.
In fact, some have been suggesting that perhaps what the ICC should have done is the prosecution to get those people who actually committed the acts, and perhaps then they would name who were behind this acts.
Well, that's a great suggestion. That's a great suggestion. I think that part of, if you look at the other international criminal tribunals in the past, there's this whole idea of working your way up. And this is, again, not unlike what you might get in national jurisdictions. So prosecutors start with lower-level individuals, perhaps middle-level individuals, and then ultimately they go for Mr. Big at the top, right? This is the famous conception of a mafia don sitting in the back. But you can only prosecute that person if you get insiders. So maybe the strategy of the prosecutor ought to have been to start from a lower level, maybe middle-ranking individuals, and then before you work your way to the head of state. And of course, this is what they started at the top. At the time, of course, it wasn't the president, but sufficiently senior to perhaps have escaped prosecution for a while until they got the lower-level cases. So in many ways, it's a question of prosecution strategy, and it's always hard to second-guess the prosecutor because they have evidence that we don't.
All right, Charles. We'll be watching this, and thanks a lot for being there for us today.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Well, Mr. Charles Jallow is an associate professor at Florida International University's College of Law. Well, as President Uhuru Kenyatta and his supporters jubilate over his reprieve from the ICC, Kenyan citizens are growing increasingly concerned over the security situation in the country. At least 36 construction workers were killed by a group of gunmen early Tuesday while sleeping at a quarry at Korome, about 20 kilometers from Mandera County, bordering Somalia. Somalia Al-Shabaab militants have claimed the responsibility for the quarry killing. Last month, the Somali Islamist militant group also killed 28 non-Muslims on a bus in Mandera, sparking large-scale protests in the country's capital, Nairobi. Amid increased terror attacks across the East African nation, people are losing their sense of security and are convinced that the succession of terror attacks should be blamed on the government's incapability to protect citizens.
Innocent lives are being lost. This is crazy. The government has failed us.
But we have to go to work, we have to go to school, we have to go to wherever we are going, and it's like our security is at jeopardy, so it's hard.
Mwenda Mbijiwe, an expert on Kenya's security situation, says there is an urgent need for the government to review the country's strategy in the fight against terrorism.
Ours is not even a failure of military strategy, it's a failure of national security strategy. And we have not revised our homeland security, built an impenetrable and infallible homeland security.
Al-Shabaab claimed that they have been retaliating for Kenyan troops who were deployed in Somalia to create a security buffer zone 3 years ago. Some Kenyan politicians have called for the withdrawal of the country's troops from Somalia. However, security experts believe withdrawing military forces from Somalia will not prevent Al-Shabaab from attacking Kenyans.
Absolutely not. We shouldn't. Because our problem with Al-Shabaab did not begin because we were in Somalia. It began because they came to attack our national economic interests. And so we went to Somalia to ask them to stop doing it. So whether we stay there or not, they'll still attack us.
Kenyan Police Chief David Kimayo offered to retire on Tuesday amid increased terrorist attacks across the East African nation. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta also fired his Interior Minister Joseph Ole Lenku. Despite the changes, Kenyan trade unions have urged non-Muslim public sector workers, including teachers and doctors, to leave the country's lawless northern region because of the security risks. Well, now elsewhere on the continent, South Africans are marking the first anniversary of the death of anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela. His wife, Graça Machel, flanked by other relatives, government officials and dignitaries, gathered Friday at Pretoria's Union Buildings for a wreath-laying commemoration at the foot of his statue. Now, the ceremony is one of many tributes to be held throughout the country to hail South Africa's first black president. Machel looked to be at ease as she greeted members of the Mandela family before speaking about the last years of Nelson Mandela's life.
Madiba enjoyed in the last years of his life a normal and warm family life. I'm proud that it was with me that you could enjoy what is the normalcy of a family home, with the predictability that in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, someone is there, just to give him the simplest things of life, which is to live within a loving and caring family.
U.S. President Barack Obama says that Mandela left behind a world more just and free, but he says there is still much more work to be done. On Thursday, an exhibit highlighting the life of South Africa's first black president opened at his official office in Johannesburg. Well, now to the U.S. The Obama administration has established a federal task force to look at updating policing policies, including the use of force in detaining suspects. The move comes in response to nationwide demonstrations calling for police reforms following the fatal shooting of an armed teenager by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. VOA's Chris Simpkins has more.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Protests are calling for an end to racial profiling and the excessive use of force by police, especially against the nation's black population. Demonstrators caused traffic delays by lying in the roadway during the busy morning commute in Washington.
Everything needs to be at a standstill until people understand that lives matter. Not only do black lives matter, but all lives matter.
The killing of unarmed teenager Michael Brown by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson last August inflamed racial tensions and reignited concerns about use of force by police against African Americans. Wilson said he feared for his life after Brown tried to take his gun, but a Missouri grand jury declined to indict him on criminal charges. President Obama, meeting with African American leaders, has vowed to press for reforms to city police departments with high rates of police shootings involving African Americans.
The frustrations that we've seen are not just about a particular incident. They have deep roots in many communities of color who have a sense that our laws are not always being enforced uniformly or fairly.
I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone.
There have been several high-profile cases involving deadly encounters between police and African Americans this year. In July, Eric Gardner died of a heart attack after a New York City officer used a banned chokehold to arrest him for allegedly selling illegal cigarettes. The incident led to an extensive retraining program of New York police officers with a focus on the appropriate amount of force to be used when detaining a suspect.
Shots fired, male down, black male, black handgun.
In November, a Cleveland police officer fatally shot a 12-year-old black boy carrying an unloaded pellet gun. The shooting occurred less than 2 seconds after the police car pulled up to the boy. So far, no charges have been brought against the officer. Civil rights leaders like Al Sharpton have complained about an aggressive police mindset towards young African Americans and other minorities.
What I'm afraid of is that there will not be indictments of officers for killing unarmed people. That's what I'm afraid of. I think that we are so busy promoting the reaction to injustice that we're not reacting to injustice.
The U.S. Justice Department is conducting an investigation into the Ferguson Police Department and several others to see whether there's a pattern of officers using excessive force or racial profiling. Chris Simpkins, VOA News, Washington.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, U.S.-based musicians raised their voices in the fight against Ebola. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Music Maker Friday, and today we're featuring a new release, Ebola, We Can Overcome. Here to tell us all about it is the producer, Peter Ngu Tayon. Mr. Tayon, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much.
Yes, now we have, several other songs on Ebola, but give us a sense of how this came about.
We thought we should give voice to issues. We thought music is very important. We thought everybody in Africa listens to music, but we discovered that there was a deficit in communication about Ebola, because we know very well people have heard about Ebola, but people don't know about Ebola. And we felt that using voices and giving them that strength to be able to relate with Ebola was the only way we could penetrate African homes, those rural areas where Ebola is most, where there's a high influx of Ebola, in Sierra Leone, in Guinea, in Liberia. So we brought together artists from those countries, including other African countries and Americans, to do a piece in different languages so that they could reach out to people in Africa in their languages and communicate to them directly.
Okay, now let's watch the video so we see what you guys did. All right, let's play it.
Children dying, see the strong men wiped away in West Africa. Any pain where you feel, myself go feel 'em. We all not fumble, where you cry, myself go cry. It's couple we commit, we go down one day. We go play and laugh again. We picking and go learn, all things go fine. Mama, papa, brother and sister, let we join we hand for fet the sick and grab am go. Hamnani manan ko Daniel, motak ni wombolomi. Indilen ligan Yeno afari doninia Mizimi koniji mizuvo Yeno afari dominia Mizimi koniji mizuvo Amami awani wunaba kunbi jaro Hello world, hello folks, beautiful African people. We still standing strong in the very midst of the storm, anticipating better days and being optimistic, still smiling even when the sun is smiling back at us, cause we know that one day Ebola will leave and the rainbow will come out and dance with us while we don't grieve no more. Say bye-bye to the pain, our homeland will regain. Now help me sing along to the song, Beautiful Rain. Just the other day, as I watched the news, I saw an older man up before his wife and kids, leaving a woman to be a widow, and I saw a little girl forced to become
I have to say, it's a good song. Good job there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, you know, people say, first I have to mention, you know, my colleague Khalil Gay is there and he's good.
Great.
You know,
Yeah, he did a wonderful job.
Not many people know that he's...
What that variety, what the diversity in the whole group, and diversity is great.
That's right. And some people would say, well, there's so many other songs being done by international musicians, including some really great names from Africa. What are the chances that anybody's going to be listening to this and paying attention?
The chances that we are from Africa and we are taking our responsibility.
Yeah.
We are not being financed by any organization.
Yeah.
We are not asking for people to come and tell us what to do. It's time we take our own challenges and face them.
Yeah.
I think it's about leadership.
Yeah.
We have to start giving voice to artists. Artists have been marginalized in society. The way we see artists is like they're to be dumped aside. They are useless people. Now, the name of the group is Artists with One Voice. We have to empower artists, start using their voices positively. And this is the only way you start the movement. It's the only way you start.
So this is not so much of one of those commercial ventures. This is like a public service. Or are you going to use it like to raise funds so you can help the people? Or is it just to send a message to the people affected?
It's a two-pronged approach.
Yeah.
We will try to raise funds to help other artists in Africa who don't have the opportunity to use their voices. Would help to empower journalists in African countries who don't have the chances to report effectively on Ebola. There is a communication crisis. And we thought that this will help reach out to what everybody has done. The more the merrier. We could have 1 billion songs on Ebola. As long as we get Ebola out, it's a win-win.
Okay. You know, I have to congratulate you guys. It's good to see that other people can use their voices like Khalil instead of just for reporting, but also for sending very important messages to a population that is very seriously affected right now. Well, Peter, thanks a lot for sharing this with us today.
I appreciate it.
Well, Peter Ngo Tayon is the producer of the new video Ebola We Can Overcome, and that is our Music Maker segment for this Friday. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Pharrell is extra happy today. We'll tell you why after the break.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines.
In Nigeria, hundreds of thousands flee their homes, fearing attacks by Boko Haram in the northeastern part of the country. In Mali, a new mobile Ebola testing unit opens in the capital, Bamako. And in the Central African Republic, France begins withdrawing peacekeeping troops as the UN ramps up forces. In South Africa, events are being held across the country to mark 1 year since the death of Nelson Mandela. Finally, in Sudan, foreign ministers of Algeria, Chad, Egypt, Niger, and Tunisia meet in Khartoum and pledge to support UN-brokered talks to stop violence in Libya.
That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Hey, Pharrell, how happy are you now? Well, superstar performer and music producer Pharrell Williams now has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Pharrell has sold more than 100 million copies of his productions and won seven Grammys. He also received a Best Original Song Oscar nomination this year for writing Happy from the animated film Despicable Me 2. Happy topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart for 10 consecutive weeks and picked at number 1 on iTunes in 103 markets worldwide. Congratulations, Pharrell. Well, next up, are you ready for a new Bond? Well, that is James Bond. Here's all you need to know about the new film. The title is Spectre. The car is a custom-made Aston Martin, a DB10 coupe. Actresses Monica Bellucci and Léa Seydoux are the new Bond girls. The cast includes two-time Oscar winner Christopher Waltz and Oscar-nominated actor Ralph Fiennes. Spectre hits theaters in October 2015, which gives you plenty of time to shake, not stir, a martini. And finally, the selfie craze is generating big business in the beauty industry. A growing number of people are turning to plastic surgeons and specialized makeup artists to enhance their image in an emerging selfie economy. Now, for social media enthusiasts whose image might be exposed to millions on Facebook and Instagram, going under the scalpel may not seem so extreme. Plastic surgeons have seen a surge in demand for eyelid lifts to nose jobs in patients ranging from 14 to 30 years and older to improve their image on social media, and that is what's trending today. Well, it's time now for our Friday Sports Report, and joining us now with the latest Africa Cup of Nations news is Sonny Young with us. Sonny's Side of Sports. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. The draw for next month's Africa Cup of Nations football tournament has been held in Equatorial Guinea. Let's take a look at the first round groups. Group A has host Equatorial Guinea, Burkina Faso, Gabon, and Congo-Brazzaville. Group B features Zambia, Tunisia, Cape Verde, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Group C has Ghana, Algeria, South Africa, and Senegal. And Group D has Ivory Coast, Mali, Cameroon, and Guinea. The head coach of Ivory Coast is Frenchman Hervé Renard, who led Zambia to the 2012 Nations Cup title.
First of all, I was very happy when I heard the name of the city where we are going to play in Malabo. I think this is the best news of the day. And after, the group is quite tough with Cameroon, the big favorite of this group, and Guinea and Mali. So we have to be ready. Because like we said in a previous interview, maybe for some of the players of Ivory Coast, the last chance to win something with their country, so it's time.
Meanwhile, another French coach, Claude Leroy, will be leading Congo-Brazzaville to its first Nations Cup appearance since 2000.
No, we are very proud because after 15 years of absence in this competition, we are very proud to play the opening game against the host country. You know, it's a big honor. It's a huge media cover. That means for the player, for these young players, all of them, they play their first Africa Cup of Nations because it's a so long time where this country was out. But I think the group is very tough, very unpredictable, and I think it will play on details, and we have to be ready on the 17th.
As Coach Leroy just said, Congo-Brazzaville will have to be ready on January 17th when it plays the opening match of the Nations Cup against host Equatorial Guinea. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the Sunny Side of Sports, sending this ball back to Vincent McCory.
Thanks a lot, Sonny. And that's it for today. Have a great weekend, and see you Monday.